Okay, so I do want to give you some work with these problems before our virtual class tomorrow. This is from the Haiku assignment, some sample quiz questions for later this week on volume. Okay, so uh, again, what you have to do is you have to solve each equation for x as well. So if y equals 2/3 x, then x equals 3/2 y. And if y equals 2 radical x, okay, divide by 2 both sides and then square both sides, x is equal to y squared over 4. Uh, okay, so if you look at this problem, it's pretty self-explanatory now. It's a good problem. It's a good quiz question for later this week, and I'll explain more about this tomorrow. But the volume around the x-axis, that's going to be your traditional washer here. So the outer is going to be 2 radical x squared minus the inner, which is 2/3 x squared dx. And then you type this into your calculator and you should get 54 pi. Okay? The volume around the y-axis, because the y-axis is vertical, you have to solve for x. So when I solve for x, I have these two equations here. So now the outer, okay, going to the outer here, that's going to be the line, but it's going to be 3/2 y. And then minus the inner, which is y squared over 4 squared dy. Now, when you type this into your calculator, type in x. So in other words, the integral from 0 to 6 of 3/2 x squared minus x squared over 4 squared dx. Notice I keep the pi outside because I'm going to type everything in and get a number, and then I'm just going to put the pi at the end. And that's the best way to do these problems. The volume around x equals 9, remember x equals 9 is this line right here. So now my outer, okay, so if this distance is y squared over 4, then the distance from x equals 9 is 9 minus y squared over 4 squared. Minus, and then the distance from x equals 9 to the line is the number 9 minus 3/2 y squared dy. So again, practice typing this in and see what you get for an answer. Number 3 and 4 are a little bit much the same. Not to go crazy here, but okay, so you have y equals x squared plus 1, and you have y equals 9 minus x squared. So if you graph those two parabolas, they're going to intersect at -2 and 2. So if I want to find the volume around the x-axis, it's a very traditional washer. There's your, okay, solid. So your outer is the distance to the outer, which is 9 minus x squared squared, and your inner is x squared plus 1 squared dx. Keep the pi outside, type this into your calculator, and then put the pi at the end, and that should give you 213.33 pi. Cubic units. We'll just assume all volume is cubic units. Okay, so now the next question is, what about if the volume is revolved around the solid y equals -1? Okay, it's not that much different, and a lot of you got this wrong in your assignment, but let's go over it. Okay, so the distance to the outer is the top parabola plus 1. So it's 9 minus x squared plus 1 squared minus, and the distance to the x-axis is x squared plus 1, but then I'm adding another 1 squared dx. Simplify that, and you get pi times the integral from -2 to 2 of 9 plus 1, which is 10, 10 minus x squared squared, minus x squared plus 2 squared dx. So that's what you're going to type in. Some of the questions on your quiz, which I'll talk about tomorrow for later this week, you're just going to set up an integral, okay, and not evaluate it. And that's just really my way of teaching how you do volume. Okay, the last problem is number 4, And again, I think what makes this a little tricky is you have to solve for x. So if y equals e to the negative x, I take the ln of both sides. The ln of e to the anything is anything. So x is equal to minus ln y. So if I'm rotating it about anything vertical, I have to use x equals minus ln y. All right, so now that should make this a little bit of an easier problem. So the first question is the volume around y equals 2. So it's a washer. The outer is going to be, well, if this distance right here is e to the minus x, then this distance that's dotted is going to be 2 minus e to the minus x squared, minus the distance from y equals 2 to y equals 1 is 1. The integral from 0 to 3. Type it into your calculator, get an answer. Okay, maybe we'll do some of that tomorrow in our virtual class. The next question and the last one is the volume around x equals 3. Not to be confused here, but x equals 3 is vertical, as you know. So it's a disk problem, okay? Because it's around that x equals 3 the entire time. So what is this distance right here? It's 3 minus a minus ln y. Because this distance that's dotted is minus ln y. Because that's going to the y-axis. So 3 minus a minus ln y squared dy, minus a minus is plus, and this is what I'm typing into my calculator, but the low limit is 1 over e cubed because that's the y coordinate where it starts. A lot of you put 0 here. I guess that's a tricky thing, and it's not a big deal if you got it wrong, but now you can see it, I hope. You're looking at the lowest y coordinate to the upper y coordinate, which is 1. So we'll talk more about this tomorrow in our virtual class, okay? Thank you.